Hi there, I just thought I'd jump on and do a bit of an update and just have a bit of a chat. I've got a couple of things on my mind and something that's just happened today that's kind of, I don't know, I just want to talk about. Hi there, my name is Sue. Welcome to my channel. If you've not been here before, I've been eating a carnivore diet now for over 2 years, and I'm still definitely a work in progress, but I've had a lot of healing on the carnivore diet, and things continue to get better, but I still have problems such as what's going on in my skin right now. So I wanted to talk about that today and a couple other things. The first thing that we've just had notice today that we have to move again. So we have been in our house that we're in currently for 9 months, and our lease is up in November, and now we have to move again, which I was really hoping that we wouldn't have to do. But that's what happens when you're renting a house and you don't kind of really have much control over what's happening, and so yeah, you're at the mercy of your landlords, unfortunately. So we're going to have to try and find another place to move to. Hopefully we can get something that's a bit more suitable. The last house that we were in was great, and we were in there for 5.5 years, and it had a room outside that I had my business in, and it was 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and yeah, it worked really well. Whereas this one, we were kind of struggling to find something. I mean, we're only in a little town here in New Zealand, and there wasn't a lot of choice really, especially if I wanted to work from home. And so we moved into this house. I mean, it's a lovely property. The outside is great. So this is the property that we currently live on, or live at, where the man who used to live here has made these amazing stone walls across the front and further up the property. And there are beautiful trees like this one that have been there for many years. Like this amazing creature here. I love this tree. The house is pretty tired and run down, and it's only one bathroom, and it's got no dishwasher and everything. And I've actually got I'm running my business out of one of the bedrooms, so people, my clients have to come up the hallway and into the bedroom, so it's kind of not ideal. So I'm going to focus on manifesting the perfect house for the next one, but having to move is such a pain. I mean, last time it took us, hubby and I, 2 weeks to recover because it just wore us out so much. So hopefully we can manage better a year on from the last one. And hubby's been doing a bit more weight training, and I need to get out there and do some more weight training and get more strength up, so that we can do these sorts of things more easily. I mean, once upon a time we used to move ourselves, just me and him, and we did that a few times when we were in Australia, because we were both very strong. We were going to the gym all the time, and we were very capable of lifting very heavy things between us. He would suffer afterwards because he has a back issue and stuff, but we could do it. We could move our whole house full of furniture in a day, basically by ourselves. Nowadays we need some help and assistance, and luckily we've got my son and his lovely lady here, and they are a machine between the pair of them. They worked really well last year when we were doing it, and we had a couple of other lovely friends that helped as well. So hopefully that's the case this time too. And I might actually give myself some time off this time. Last time I didn't. We shifted over the weekend, and I was back working on the Tuesday, so it was like really rush to get everything kind of unpacked and in a state where I could work from home, and things were tidy and put away, and everything. So I'll have to see if I can actually take some time off this time. So that was this morning's news, and the part of the problem with this time as well is that we have a very specific date that we need to be out. Last time it was kind of flexible. The house was up for sale, and the landlord had said to us, we could just stay as long as we needed to, until we found something. Whereas this time, one of the landlords is moving back into the house, and so it's a little bit different. So hopefully we can kind of tee everything up time-wise and find the perfect house and move out. or find the perfect house to move into for pretty much on that date. So that's the beginning of November that needs to happen. So yeah, we had kind of thought that if we needed to move out at the end of this first year in this house, because we were told we had it for a year, they couldn't guarantee it any longer than that, but we were hoping it would be longer because the property is actually being subdivided and they haven't started the process through the council. But I think because things, real estate has slowed down and they have another subdivision on the go where only one property is sold, I got a feeling that things are a little bit maybe tighter than they had expected. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Wish us luck. The rental market is kind of very tight a lot of the time. I think it's loosened off a little bit. I've been told there's not as many people looking, but yeah, I will be contacting clients and speaking to everybody, and I'll see what we can find. And hopefully we can, as I said, find the perfect house and move in, and hopefully it'll be something that's a little bit more stable and kind of long term. So yeah, so on from that, what's happening with my diet and my health? I mentioned in my video that I've just put up where I'm talking about Dr. Stasha Gomanek and the vitamin D and sleep issue, that my gut is still really easily upset. It doesn't take much. Like, it'll be really good, and then I'll just do something and it just upsets it, and it's like the reaction is quite strong, and so that's kind of a little bit annoying when that happens. It took 4 days basically for me to get over the last faux pas, which as I said, I had about a teaspoon of this sauce that I bought for hubby, and the only thing that I can see in there that might have been the problem was xanthan gum. I suspected it was that, either that or it was the rooibos tea that I had started drinking, and so I've stopped the rooibos tea, and I will test it again later and just see if it is that, because it's hard to know, but I'll give it a little bit of time and then try it again. My skin is really not great at the moment, and I think that was from me going back on to the yogurt. I was having the yogurt it was raw milk, but I was making the yogurt from that, heating it, pasteurizing it myself, the same as I was before when I was making it last year, and so I was doing that for 2 weeks, and I also was having blueberries as well. So I don't know if the yogurt was the problem, the dairy, or if it was the blueberries, if it was both, or whether it's just oxalate dumping. What I was finding was that I was just incredibly sore. I was really inflamed, but I think that I was actually quite inflamed before I even started on the dairy. So it might have just been the lower fat, because I have upped my fat, and I haven't been tracking the last week or so, but I'm figuring that I'm around the 70 to 80% most days. But I need to kind of keep an eye on that, because as I've said in my video where I was talking about falling off the fat wagon, it's fairly easy for me to kind of go backwards with the fat and not be having enough, I think, because I'm always still, I've kind of got that mind thing worrying about my bowel playing up. I tend to be a little bit scared to have too much, even when things are okay. It's that this is a thing with the bowel issue, is that when it's been ongoing for a long time, it really messes with your head, and it's hard to kind of move past that, I'm finding. But I'm working on it, and it is getting better. My anxiety has been so much better, heaps better. My mood's still up and down, and I think that's dependent on how much fat I've got in my diet, and also possibly the whole vitamin D thing as well, I suspect. If you've not seen my last video, go and have a look at that. I'm talking about vitamin D and the effect that it has, when you're deficient on sleep and brain chemistry and gut health, and how they're tied together. And Dr. Stasha Gomanek is a really interesting listen. I put a link underneath that video to her interview on Judy Cho's channel, but I've been doing a bit of a binge watch on Dr. Gomanek's info, and I really want to buy her sleep program, and I can't think what it's called, but yeah, I want to buy that and work through that with hubby and I, and see how we go. But I'm wondering after listening to her if that's why my gut is still so sensitive, is because my vitamin D levels are really low. So I'm just waiting on some supplements arriving, and I did a vitamin D test yesterday, so waiting on the results of that coming back, and then I will kind of get stuck into that and see if I can get my vitamin D levels up to where they need to be, because this has been long term. As I've said in that video, and I've spoken in other videos, my vitamin D levels were really low even when we lived in Queensland. So it's been a long, long time. And then kind of listening to her and realising how much that affects the microbiome, my thoughts are that maybe that's been my problem kind of all along, because I was born in Glasgow to a mum whose health wasn't really flash and who was probably vitamin D deficient. And because Dr. Gomenak talks about that, how that's happening with children now, if the mother's vitamin D deficient, the children are being born with a deficiency, that can affect their microbiome right from when they're born. So I'm wondering if that was the case with me, because, as I've spoken about, my gut health has never been great. I've had kind of these health issues, kind of just niggly, subpar health pretty much all my life. And so, I'm just wondering whether that's been a thing. So it'll be interesting if I can work through her program, and especially being on this way of eating, and see whether I can correct all of that. And, because it might explain why this has taken so long, and it might explain why it's taking so long for some other people as well. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I have decided to go ahead with the community that I've been talking about. I'm setting it up on locals.com. I'll be sending out an email to those who have registered their interest in the next couple of days, hopefully. And then the doors for that should be open, hopefully in the next week or so. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have been thinking about setting up a community for people eating, carnivore, meat-based, ketovore type diets, for anyone who's eating that way. But also, my thought was that if we could get enough of us in there, because I have a lot of people that follow me who, like me, have got kind of ongoing issues or have had ongoing issues on carnivore. They didn't just start eating meat and everything was fixed. And so if we can get a community together where we've got a number of us in there who have had these issues, then it means that people who are starting on carnivore who also have these issues have got somewhere where hopefully they can get some ideas, inspiration, suggestions for what they're going through. For me, my gut health, my oxalate dumping, my histamine issues have been really huge and ongoing, and that's taken a long time to kind of even get them kind of mostly resolved. And so, I kind of feel for anyone who's out there who's struggling with this stuff. And so if we can have a place where people can actually get really kind of help and understanding from people who have been through that, then that would be great. So what else? I just want to say, hubby and I went shopping last Friday, and we bought a whole, bulk sirloin, and it is honestly the best sirloin I've ever eaten. We bought it at Pack and Save. If you're in New Zealand, you know Pack and Save. And when we went to cut it up, I was like, whoa, because it was all really well marbled. And we've eaten that the last 2 nights, and we're having it again tonight because it's delicious. And the fat on it is amazing, and it's got that like kind of little tendony piece that's kind of under the fat that's not too tough, and it's just nice, and the flavour of it is just incredible. So I don't know who grew that cow, but whoever did a bloody good job of it, because it's amazing. So I don't know what else I wanted to talk about today. My mind is being taken up with the whole having to move thing. As I said, we had kind of hoped that we might be at a place that we could just go house sitting or something, just sell everything up and go house sitting when we had to move out of here, because we do want to move back to Australia eventually, but we're not ready to do that yet. And so, we're kind of in a bit of a limbo situation, and it's just a little bit tough, and it's the whole renting thing is just a little bit frustrating. We used to own our own home. So I bought my first home when I was 18, and I had that when I met hubby, and we owned our own homes until I was like 44. When we sold up here in New Zealand the last time, and we went back to Australia and we bought a business, and put all the money from our house into the business, and that was a big mistake. That was in 2008, the global financial crisis. So we had bought something that was a mistake, and then the financial crisis just kind of was the nail in the coffin. And so we ended up closing the doors and walking. I will make a video and talk about that one day, maybe soon. But yeah, so we've been renting since then, and so having the early parts of my adult life being a homeowner and that kind of stability that goes with that, I find renting still is kind of just sometimes a little bit hard to wrap my head around, and just the lack of kind of any kind of security, and that if you rent, you know what I'm talking about, especially here in New Zealand, because there's not a lot of rental properties these days. The government have done a really good job of dissuading people from being landlords, and so so it's a little bit hard. But yeah, that's where we're at, and it'll be fine. We will find something, and it will be perfect. I mean, everything happens for a reason, and it's perfection always. And I know that it's whatever comes is absolutely brilliant, and we will end up in a better place than where we are now. So yeah, that's kind of what I was going to talk about today. If you have any comments or questions, just please pop them down below. If you know anyone with a house to rent in Te Araha, let me know. Tell them if they want some really awesome tenants. Some, because we are really good tenants. And yeah, that's it for now. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, like and share it with anyone who may be interested. And I thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again another day. Goodbye for now.